As Nnadi NINAS prepares for a street fight with the President of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, General Olusegun Obasanjo, His Excellency Peter Obi, even late General Murtala Muhammad, all political parties in Nigeria, religious leaders, the Nigerian Bar Association, etc. What do you think will be the outcome of this street fight? What is your opinion about a street fight of this nature? According to him, we have been calling out the imposers, promoters, subscribers, and enforcers of the fraudulent Constitution of Nigeria across the last 25 years. The culprits to be fought on the street by Ninas include all the genocide generals from 1966 who were part of the making and imposition of this atrocious unitary constitutional order, starting with Murtala Muhammad and Obasanjo, all political merchants swearing to defend and uphold the 1999 Constitution, all political merchants contesting elections under the 1999 Constitution, and now preparing to head to 2027 elections under the Constitution, all religious leaders mobilizing their flock to elections under the 1999 Constitution, the leadership of the Nigerian Bar Association that has maintained silence on the question of the fraudulent Constitution of Nigeria. Ninas will mobilize the victims of unitary Nigeria against the enforcers of the unitary Nigeria in the campaign by shutting down the voyage to 2027 elections under the fraud of 1999 Constitution. He went further to say, we either go into an immediate transitioning for the constitutional reconstruction of Nigeria or we dissolve the toxic union forthwith. Those who stand with that constitution, including religious leaders, will be treated as the criminals they have chosen to be by clinging into a fraudulent constitution. There are up to 40 Ninas very recent broadcasts, December 2024 and January 2025, that have gone viral on all kinds of platforms, particularly on TikTok. Tinubu, Gowon, P2B, the Pentecostals, including Adeboye, Kumuyi, Oyedepo, El Buba, and the rest of them were called out on the same subject. That's what the Ninas boss said. And one begins to wonder, will this take place on the real Nigerian streets or on any street to be mentioned on TikTok platform? Does the right to self-determination override the right to vote and be voted for and participate in a democratic process? These are issues that call for a dialogue between these people he's preparing to fight with and the group called Ninas. Unfortunately, it appears that Nnadi NINAS has closed room for further dialogue and resubmission of the Ninas memo to the government in power. According to him in a recent interview, nobody is coming to Abuja to resubmit or represent it to them. He said it is there in public space. 4 pages of Guardian newspaper, 20 January 2021, signed by 128 signatories. So for him, all those in government should go and read the Ninas memo containing the 5-point propositions of Ninas and read it on Guardian newspaper of 20 January 2021. In fact, in his own words, the constitution that will replace the 1999 constitution are already in process. So the constitution that will replace the one we are using now is already in process. According to Tony Nnadi, is to be taken to the public space for ratification, hopefully soon. The Ninas group, according to Tony Nnadi, says, we are not asking those in government house to vacate the government house. We are not going to behead them. We are saying that whoever is in government house should remain in government house in this transitional period for the purpose of providing nominal governance. In the period, we need to have or hold the discussion. So if they are providing nominal governance and after your discussion, who now takes the final say. Tony Nnadi was asked in an interview, are the ethnic nationalities all asking for the same thing? He was asked whether all the ethnic nationalities in Nigeria are asking for the same thing. And he said that only him as a lawyer with specialty in jurisprudence understands. How can it be only you that understands self-determination? And even only you know what the ethnic nationalities are asking for? In other words, all of us have to go and read law and specialize in jurisprudence for us to be at the same level or for us to understand what you are saying. These are issues that make me ask questions. And once you ask questions, wait for the bombshell, wait for his missiles. He's going to insult you to a certain level, declare you ignorant, declare you stupid, lazy, and everything he wants to say. Those who ask questions don't miss road. Blame game does not solve a problem. Blaming P2B for embarking on 2023 elections, blaming His Lordship Most Reverend Dr. Matthew Hassan Kuka and General Abdul Salami Abubakar for initiating a peace process, trying to see how to reconcile the differences and diversities of opinions for a better Nigeria. It's not also a way out. So blaming everyone will not solve Nigeria's problem. When eventually you get your own independence and become a nation of your own without exorcising the spirit of evil and corruption in the citizens, definitely it's the same type of citizens who will occupy leadership positions in those new nations. And instead of moving forward as one nation, we still be moving backward. If you say regional government and people to lead the various regions are not healed of the corrupt practices and they are not sincere leaders, we'll be facing the same challenge in the same country, even at the regional levels. Rather than totally fighting against those who are trying to make things work in this country through a normal democratic process, our emphasis should rather be correcting the error, correcting the evil of the 2023 elections. In the 2027 elections, Professor Sam Amade, director of the Abuja School of Social and Political Thought, has been calling for the disbandment of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Nigeria, INEC, as presently constituted before 2027 elections, and the constitution of a new electoral umpire, as recommended by the Justice Owai's Electoral Reform Report, especially their recommendation that the power to appoint the INEC commissioners should be withdrawn from the president. Let the appointment go through a competitive bidding to ensure that a qualified and a competent candidate emerges eventually to manage and to be at the helm of the affairs of Nigerian electoral system. As I imagine the nature of this street fight that Tony Nnadi NINAS is going to embark on with different individuals and different groups, the following questions still boggle my mind. 1. If you carry self-determination and go to a place like Abia State and say you are fighting political parties and all those vying for political office, that there should be no election, the Abians today will not understand why they won't go for election to re-elect Dr. Alex Oti as the governor of Abia State. They are enjoying dividends of democracy. And the enjoyment of dividends of democracy and good leadership is at the same time what makes self-determination meaningful. When we don't get leaders, even if we begin governing our own families, and we get leaders who are corrupt, leaders who are not concerned, who are insensitive to the plight of the people, the same problem continues. The church has taught self-determination. In fact, self-determination is even in the Holy Bible. What is the point embarking on a fight with those who have been preaching self-determination even before NINAS group was found or before the preachers were born. In the Holy Bible, precisely the book of Proverbs chapter 14, verse 34, the word of God says, "Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people." So the righteousness of a leader and the righteousness of the people, of the citizens, is what will exalt a nation, and that's what we should be aiming at. Precisely in Acts of the Apostles chapter 17, from verse 26 to 27, we see self-determination enshrined in the Holy Scripture. Paul's speech in Athens, where he emphasizes that God has determined the boundaries of nations and the appointed times. This passage indicates the diversity of nations and their right to self-governance. The social teachings of the Catholic Church emphasize the importance of dignity, solidarity, and common good. The right to self-determination is also contained in several documents of the Church. In his encyclical Pacem in Terris, written in 1963, Pope John XXIII emphasized the importance of human rights, including the right to self-determination. And in the Gaudium et Spes, written in 1965, the Second Vatican Council highlighted the necessity of human rights and the right to self-determination. And in his own encyclical, titled Populorum Progressio, written in 1967, Pope Paul VI emphasized the importance of self-determination for nations and peoples. The Catechism of the Catholic Church, precisely number 1908, states that the political community and public authority are based on human nature and therefore on the natural law, which implies the right to self-determination. When you read the Compendium of the Social Doctrine of the Catholic Church, the compendium states that the right to self-determination is an essential aspect of the dignity of the peoples and that it is a fundamental principle of international law. How can you get up now and say you are fighting religious leaders who have been preaching right to self-determination before NINAS was formed and continues to preach it even till today? Even in Nigeria, the religious leaders have not kept quiet on the right to self-determination, particularly the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria. In December 2003, the Igbo Catholic bishops raised their own alarm against the way the Igbo in Nigeria are treated. In their pastoral statement titled "Building a Just Democratic Nigeria, Restoring the Rights of the Igbo People," which was issued on December 18, 2003, at the end of their annual interprovincial meeting held at the Daughters of Divine Love Retreat Center, DRAC, Enugu. As at that time, the bishops, who were 15 in number, said, among other things, "While we remain concerned with the welfare of all persons and groups in Nigeria, we want to concentrate specifically on the plight of the Igbo people, who constitute a sizable and dynamic population of Nigeria, and whose contributions to the foundation, unity, economy, development, and progress of our nation continue to be immense, their shortcomings, weaknesses, and faults notwithstanding. We note with sadness the continued concern of the Igbo people about their systematic exclusion since the end of the Nigerian Civil War from certain substantive positions in the nation's administrative setup, such as the head of state of Nigeria, the heads of the Army, Navy, and Air Force, Chief Judge of the Federation, Inspector General of Police, heads of key parastatals, and head of service of the Federation. Whether planned or accidental, this exclusion does not reflect the equity that marks a true federation." It also appears like a joke that NINAS is preparing to fight all political parties in Nigeria, whether APC, PDP, Labour Party. Every political party is going to be fought with. Now, 60% of members of NINAS and those who support NINAS 5-point positions belong to one political party or the other. I know very many of them who are members of NINAS and as well members of the political parties. When you go to fight yourself, a house or a kingdom divided against itself, can it really stand? In the same vein, going to fight the Nigerian Bar Association, you too being a lawyer and a Nigerian. However that will go, I don't understand. A more mind-boggling question is that in the bid to protect the rights to self-determination, Nnadi NINAS is preparing for a fight with different individuals and different groups already mentioned. What then is the difference between this fight and the fight or quest for right to self-determination that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been looking for or searching for? Nnadi himself said that NINAS is not going to behead any of those in government houses. The charges against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has he disclosed that he beheaded anyone in government houses? At this point, let us now hear from the horse's mouth. Let us now listen to Nnadi NINAS and hear what he said regarding what I have raised and the issues that I say constitute mind-boggling questions. Thanks for taking pains to listen to this message up to this point. God bless you.
Look at this map. The constitutions that will replace this fraud we're talking about are already in process. They will be taken to ratification in the public space. We do not owe anybody in government any explanation for why the owners of the land will be working to take their portions. If they want to solve the problem, like we are proposing in writing, we are proposing, and I'll refer to it again, 4 pages in Guardian newspaper, not Vanguard. Guardian newspaper of the 20th of January in 2021. It is still sitting there, signed by 128 signatories, including people who have been vice presidents and governors and service chief of the military. All of them now retired. So if it's not enough that we put something as precise as that on the table before the government that is still continuing, was it not the president that told us he's carrying on from where his immediate predecessor stopped? They were all the same party. They've all been involved in the processes across the last 25 years. So nobody is coming to Abuja to come and represent it to them. The remedy for what we seek to extricate ourselves from is called self-determination. It does not require the approval.
Thanks. I'm very interested in how that meeting will happen, because it needs to happen. Even the Bible talked about how can two live together except they agree. There has to be some kind of...
It takes only one announcement. It takes one announcement and all the paperwork has been done. It takes one announcement. Those who sit in Abuja.
Who will make the announcement?
Those who sit in Abuja, the one who is president, the ones who gather with him as governor and governor's forum. We are saying that the time has come for something to whisper to them that they've not become the owners of our sovereignty. We have chosen the election as the venue for settling this fight. Those who want to go to election are telling us that they want things to remain the way they are. That demand for restructuring is a desire for self-determination. What is self-determination? It is on account of their sovereignty that that right to decide how they live in their space accrues to them. That is the global. That's the global standard on that subject matter.
People will need to sit down and have a discussion, because you referenced the South Africa situation. They had their peace and reconciliation, where but of course, the ethnic nationalities, are they all asking for the same thing? Because you've referenced Ijo, Birum, Yoruba. Are they all asking for the same thing? Or are we sensing some kind of discordant voices here?
The reality is that they may not know it as I know. I have a training, I'm a lawyer with specialty in that area of law called jurisprudence. So I'm able to articulate it for what it is. For talking about who it was presented to, on the date that first measure was presented, that is this plan, this proposition for how it can be done, start to finish. Buhari was president. APC government was in place. The leader of that party is the current president. That current president, Bola Tinubu, he became governor of Lagos from our fold in Nadeko. At what point did he now become a stranger? All the time he was governor when Obasanjo was seizing council fund, we were all together in trying to say this is a federation, it cannot be so. Then he comes all the way from there to now take a faction of that party to go and join up with the caliphate that was looking for how to overrun everybody. And we got to this. There's nobody in government today that will say he has not, because this government is a continuum. We presented what it was. It is still printed as it is in Guardian newspaper of January 20th, 2021. 4 full pages, signed by 128 statesmen, including people who have been service chiefs, governors, a former vice president of the country. All of us saying, look, we have a problem. Let us acknowledge the problem for what it is, the constitution, the unitary constitutional arrangement. Let us commit to solving the problem, total decommissioning of that instrument. Let us stop the journey to election that is mandated by that constitution so that we can deal with it sooner than later. Let us now acknowledge that and accept that it is the owners of the sovereignty that will have to come to decide this matter, not the National Assembly that's a product of that constitution. And then let us put a time frame to it by making an announcement. Those are the 5 points of the 5-point proposition of NINAS. We are not asking those in government house to vacate, or we're not going to behead them. We're saying, look, whoever is in government house, remain in government house in this transitional period for the purpose of providing nominal governance in the period we need to have this discussion. And it shouldn't take more than 6 months, 1 year to bring it to where it becomes the replacement for that imposition that is choking everybody.
You made a point about the plan of NINAS, because
yes.
Some people listening to you would want to know how you want to accomplish whatever it is you want to put across. It appears really that maybe the first set of people you submitted your memo to regarding what NINAS and the LNC are doing, they are no longer in power. So are you supposed to be talking to anyone, or is
25 years is much more than enough of telling those who swear to defend and uphold that instrument of death that we can no longer take it. The only thing remaining now is that the NINAS is now mobilizing those who are choking in that union, the victims of unitary Nigeria, to do whatever comes within our reach to do, to stop the enforcers of unitary Nigeria. Who are those enforcers? Those who swear to defend and uphold the instrument, the constitutional instrument that makes us slaves in our worse than apartheid. So it's a very clean line. And the venue we have chosen for that fight is the journey to the election of 2027. Let everybody who has an ear hear now that those who are going to 2027 elections under the 1999 Constitution will be treated as the enemies of the people. NINAS will mobilize those who suffer one thing or the other under that Constitution 1999, that fraud of 1999, to confront those planning to drag them to another round of election that will renew the life of that Constitution. We have endured it sufficient, and those who insist that it must remain the basis of union undiscussed are going to have a street fight, particularly the political parties, characters like P2OB that say that constitution is not the problem. Anybody who is doing political party, the religious leader that mobilized for PVC for them, taking advantage of the ignorance of the people, all of them will have to be confronted inch by inch, meter for meter, every day until they get to the next election. We make no distinction between party A or party B, PDP, APC, Labour Party. They all subscribe to that constitution that dispense death to the people. They all subscribe to it, and so we do not care whether it is one party or the other that is going to win. We are saying, under which constitution are we going to this election? Because the winner of that election in 2027 will swear to defend and uphold that constitution that puts this level of impoverishment we have seen Nigeria become the global capital for poverty.